This is the L2C Media Network, and this is the L2C Sports Final, brought to you by the L2C Media Network. Now, with the latest in sports news, in his own unique way, Steve the Baxman Baxley. Hey, Von Stuttgart, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Once again, you caught me with a strange hairdo. This is what happens when you're quarantined or stuck in the house for a long time. Anyway, welcome one and all to the Corsican Ball. That's right. It's Thursday night. It is your sports dance party. And boy, have we got, well, I won't say confusion, but we got some sports for you. So let's get started. We got 45 minutes to kill. Let's do this properly. We welcome you, everybody, and we go, of course, for the headlines. And here we go, headlines like this. Florida will discontinue the popular gator bait cheer at school-sanctioned sporting events. The school president, hi there. School President Kent Fuchs announced on Thursday the song is commonly played at Gator sporting events as fans do the famous Gator chomp gesture, or something like that. The move is part of a larger plan announced by Fuchs for the University of Florida, steps towards positive change against racism. Said Fuchs, quote, "While I know of no evidence of racism associated with our Gator bait cheer at UF sporting events, there is horrific historic racist imagery associated with the phrase." He wrote in a press release further, "Accordingly, University Athletics and the Gator Band will discontinue the use of the cheer." The move is part of a concerted effort by Florida to address racism and inequality. Those steps include a three-part mission of education, research, and engagement with the community, an effort to promote symbolism and behavior consistent with its values, and an increased focus on representation, inclusion, opportunity, and accountability. Fuchs wrote, quote, "We know that we cannot undo lifetimes of injustice and racism, but we believe we can make progress in education, in advancing truth, reconciliation, and justice, and in anti-racism, equality, and working to eradicate inequities," end quote. Florida also intends to remove any monuments or names across campus that are related to the Confederacy or its leaders. Its latest in a series of changes in the college football world, most notably, Texas players have urged its administration to discontinue the playing of the Eyes of Texas song at home football games. Virginia has altered its logo, and UNLV has removed the Hey Reb statue from its campus, and they might even go further than that. Who knows? All right. Let's get to the, shall we say, the final chance to have baseball in 2020. In fact, today, thank you, boys. The league and the union still haven't reached an agreement. Major League Baseball and the Players Association haven't yet reached an agreement on a modified 2020 season, and Commissioner Rob Manfred doesn't seem happy about it. To be more specific, Manfred is displeased that a deal failed to materialize during face-to-face negotiations between himself and union head Tony Clark earlier this week. Rather, the union sent a new proposal to the league on Thursday that called for, among other things, 70 games. Manfred spoke to reporters on Thursday evening where he laid out his frustrations. Quote, "This needs to be over," he said. According to MLB Network's John Heyman, quote, "Until I speak with the owners, I can't give you a firm deadline," end quote. Manfred told USA Today's Bob Nightingale about his trip to Arizona to meet with Clark. And the word is, I don't know what Tony and what Manfred said. I don't know what Tony and I were doing there for several hours, going back and forth and making trades if we weren't reaching an agreement. Now, as if these negotiations had become troublesome enough, Thursday saw the two sides bicker over whether an agreement was reached on Wednesday. That included Manfred's quip and a pair of statements from the Players Association denying that any deal had been agreed upon. Manfred released a statement Wednesday after his meeting with Clark saying that, quote, that they, quote, left that meeting with a jointly developed framework that we agreed could form the basis of an agreement, end quote. Ostensibly, the two sides are close enough to reach a deal sooner than later, and this episode will go down as an ill-timed misunderstanding. Manfred seemed to concede as much when he said again to Nightingale, quote, we're at the same place we want to play. We want to reach an agreement. We're doing everything necessary to find a way to play, hopefully by agreement. Now remember, Major League Baseball season was to begin on March 26th. The spread of the novel coronavirus forced the league to pause those plans 2 weeks beforehand. Now, what Players Association grape leaves, or what I guess we could say is a peace plan. Well, the Players Union countered the Major League Baseball proposal with a proposal of their own that is this. It's been a decidedly good 2 days in the world of Major League Baseball negotiations. Wednesday, the league reportedly made a proposal for a 60-game season that featured prorated prorated pay for players, something the union has been asking for since talks began. While the deal is yet to be reached, there's clearly some progress being made. The Players Association leader Tony Clark released the following statement this afternoon, quote, we delivered to Major League Baseball today a counterproposal based on a 70-game regular season, which, among a number of issues, includes expanded playoffs for both 2020 and 2021. We believe this offer represents the basis for an agreement on resumption of play. The union released another statement shortly thereafter after some owners started speaking out against the deal anonymously in the press. Clark said it was, quote, unequivocally false to suggest that any tentative agreement was reached when he met with Commissioner Rob Manfred earlier in the week. ESPN's Jeff Passan notes that the league is unlikely to accept this latest proposal, but there is middle ground and a deal could be close. The Athletics' Ken Rosenthal said Thursday afternoon that he expects a deal within the next 48 hours. The Players Association proposed regular season would begin on July 19th and wrap up on September 30th. More details is this. 70-game season, July 19th, September 30th, $50 million in playoff bonuses, a 50-50 split of the new postseason TV revenues in 2021, forgiveness of salary advance for Tier 1 to Tier 3 players, universal DH, and a mutual waiver of grievance. Knowing that the league likely needs around a week to get things up and running for second spring training and about 3 weeks for said spring training to take place, there really isn't much time left to argue over any of the deets. Let's hope common sense prevails and they meet in the middle. It would be 60 or 65. We know the networks won't be paying top dollar for playoffs going more than just a day or two into November, and the fight to this point has mostly been about money. All of this converges into a reality that says there really isn't much time for tete-a-tetes. That is to say, the players' refrain of tell us when and where won't really have a win much longer. This needs to happen within the next 2 or 3 days, or it might not be happening at all in 2020. Ooh. That is some big old peace proposal right there. I don't know what you call it. A grape leaf? Something like that. What if you could come back stronger? Anyway, we continue. College football. The SEC got into a little bit of an act today. What did they do, you may ask? Oh, this is going to be an interesting shot if we ever can get it up. That's right, we got it finally. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey said Thursday the league will reconsider hosting any conference championship events in Mississippi if the state does not change its flag, which includes a Confederate emblem in its design. Sankey said, "It is past time for change to be made to the flag of the state of Mississippi. Our students deserve an opportunity to learn and compete in environments that are inclusive and welcome to all. In the event there is no change, there will be consideration of precluding Southeastern Conference championship events from being conducted in the state of Mississippi until the state flag is changed," end quote. The statement comes as Mississippi state lawmakers have restarted the debate with legislative efforts to change the flag. Governor Tate Reeves has not supported these efforts, falling back on his previously stated stance that any changes to the state flag should come by statewide election. Residents in the state of Mississippi last voted on the flag in 2001, choosing to keep the Confederate emblem. Mississippi State President Mark Keenum offered a response to Sankey's statement shortly after it was released. Now, Keenum had been an advocate of changing the flag with the support of the Student Association and Faculty Senate since 2015 and wrote to the governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker of the Mississippi House to reaffirm their support. Keenum said, quote, "I have great respect for Commissioner Greg Sankey, and I understand why he has taken this position regarding Mississippi's state flag. Clearly, the current national climate is such that this debate may produce unintended consequences for our student athletes here at Mississippi State University and the University of Mississippi. There may be similar unintended consequences for academic pursuits at all of our state public universities and negative economic impacts on the state communities as well." Ole Miss added a statement as well, noting that the school stopped flying the state flag over campus in 2015 and offered the school support for the SEC's decision. And wow. The SEC football championship is held annually in Atlanta, and the men's basketball championship is committed to all but 1 year between now and 2030 in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, in 2022, the SEC men's basketball tournament is scheduled for Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. Women's basketball tourney is without a host site for 2023-2025 after stops in Greenville, South Carolina, and Nashville the next 2 years. The state of Mississippi has hosted portions of the basketball championships combined 7 times between Starkville, who hosted 5 times, and Oxford, who hosted 2, before the tournament took up residence in Hoover, Alabama in '98. We'll see how far this goes and if change is truly inevitable. 22 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock. I'm Steve the Baxman Baxley. This is the L2C Sports. And ooh la 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 la. It is truly going to be something to consider, as they say. So let's keep going with more college football news. And here we go. And again, we go to my birthland, Tejas, Texas. Texas for this. Protests aiming for racial equality have taken place around the country since the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis last month, and many college football players have participated in the events. Those players include many members of the Texas Longhorns, who released a joint statement earlier this month demanding, among other things, the school replace its theme, Eyes of Texas, a song that has racial undertones. Linebacker Juan Mitchell has taken a step further. The junior from Newark, New Jersey, released a statement on his Twitter account Wednesday night stating that he no longer feels as if representing Texas matches his ideals. Quote, when I look in the mirror in the morning, I want to tell myself I did the right thing. That should be everybody's mindset. It's not about blacks versus whites or cops versus blacks. It's about doing what's right. With that being said, I do not feel comfortable representing the University of Texas, end quote. The 6'1", 245-pounder elaborated on his perception of the program. Quote, we put our blood, sweat, and tears in every day so that the city of Austin can enjoy their Saturdays, he wrote. Further, for once, we decided to voice our opinions about things that can help better the community. It seems they only have our fronts, but not our backs. People who want to create change don't care how much money can be lost, don't care about who hates them or any bad outcomes that may happen. The only thing on your mind should be equality. Mitchell, that is, end quote. Mitchell played in 11 games in 2019 after transferring from Butler Community College in Kansas. He registered 39 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. Ooh la la bassoon. I love it. And now that a couple of days have passed, they learned 2 of their athletes have tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, 221 total athletes were tested in A squared, and on a Zoom call, this. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's turn it back over there. Okay, our next little news story. Golden State. The Golden State themselves won the best bad seasons in NBA history. After 5 straight finals and 3 championships, they needed a rest. Stephen Curry, who broke his left hand in late October, wound up playing 5 games. Klay Thompson, recovering from ACL surgery, didn't play any. By finishing with the worst record in the league, the Warriors, along with Atlanta and Cleveland, have the highest possible odds of landing the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming 2020 draft. And they're guaranteed nothing lower than the number 5 selection. This after they traded rental asset D'Angelo Russell for the rights 2021 first-round draft pick, which holds immense value as a likely lottery pick in a deep class. So here, the Warriors are without a championship-ready roster set to come back healthy and rested with the draft equity to also set up their future. Now, usually teams have one or the other. That the Warriors have both provides them the most precious of all team-building commodities, options. One of those options is to trade Thompson. To be clear, there's been no reporting of any kind of potential Thompson trade, even being whispered about at this point. This is a thought exercise for a moment, but one that could possibly become reality as Golden State's brass charts the most promising path forward. A league executive told our friends at CBS Sports, quote, when you start talking about these blockbuster trades, which we don't even know about, and who might end up being available or how these playoffs might have an impact, but yeah, every team, or most every team, I should say, is always thinking about their assets and what it might take to maybe have a chance to get in those conversations. In Golden State's case, I think they would probably have to consider including Klay in those kinds of talks. They're really serious, but to me, the bigger question is, what are they going to do with their draft picks? Now, the picks to which this executive is referring are the Warriors' 2020 and 2021 first-rounders, the latter of which will come via the Timberwolves as it was part of the D'Angelo Russell-Andrew Wiggins swap. Warriors GM Bob Meyer has openly admitted the very obvious fact that he is considering trading those picks, either for a ready-made contributor or simply to move down in this year's draft and pick up another asset that could continue to fill the war chest that they might eventually try to empty for a superstar. So let's just say we're talking Giannis Antetokounmpo, or on a lower level, perhaps a Joel Embiid or a Bradley Beal. If the Sixers flame out in this year's playoffs and eventually give up on Embiid and Ben Simmons ever fitting together, will Golden State pounce? Beal has been quite the player. Thompson has been to this point in their respective careers. But he's probably not. He's probably the better prospect moving forward, as he's almost 4 years younger and not coming off ACL surgery. Draft picks have never been more valuable in the NBA than they are right now. And by trading those picks, the Warriors would be cashing in the chance to let this dynasty run the latter portion of its course while keeping the cupboard stocked for a smooth and successful transition into the post Curry era. But if Giannis in particular were to become available, if you ever were to sense the Bucks starting to worry he might leave in 2021 to the point that they might start exploring options to get ahead of losing him, say, well, losing him for nothing, like your mortgage, whatever you have to. In that case, future picks, even high lottery picks, are not enough to get in the game for these type of players. Adding an Andrew Wiggins, who's widely regarded as a negative asset, or even Draymond Green, who doesn't figure to age well at all, to make the Green work, wouldn't get it done. Being that Stephen Curry is obviously off the table, Clay is Golden State's best asset, and it just so happens he may be a diminished one. In fact, John Holliger of The Athletic, who spent 7 years as the Memphis Grizzlies vice president of basketball operations, recently ranked the 5-year, $190 million max extension Thompson did last summer as the single worst contract in the entire NBA moving forward. Per Hollinger's valuation projections, Thompson will have to produce like a top 15 player in the league over the next 4 seasons for the Warriors to get their money's worth. Thompson probably wasn't that kind of player even before the ACL injury, but he wasn't far off. Top 25 would be an easy case to make, though to be fair, it's the back end of that deal that could look particularly bad with Thompson, set to make $43.2 million in 2023-2024 when he'll be 34. In the short term, however, Hollinger's projecting Thompson as the 20th best non-rookie shooting guard for the 2020-2021 season. Feels like an egregious undervaluing of possibly the second greatest shooter in history, who is still in his prime and has also, at least pre-ACL, been a borderline all-NBA defender. That is, if the Warriors were to consider moving Thompson, they certainly wouldn't be attracting a 20th best shooting guard tag to him. And one league source who spoke with our friends at CBS Sports believes Thompson would definitely be deemed more valuable than on the open market. But there are questions. Thompson's age, the ACL, perhaps more interesting. What would Thompson look like outside the context of Golden State has employed over the last half decade? If Thompson had to be a number one option with defenses able to force more specifically on tracking him, would he put up the same kind of numbers? Can't say yes or no, but maybe not likely. A former NBA player and current Eastern Conference executive told our friends at CBS Sports, I personally put a lot of weight on how your shots are created, how much do you have to do offensively, and how much is done for you. Wow. This isn't to suggest Clay hasn't pulled his weight over the years. For God's sakes, he's moving. He's got his moments. It's hard to mention them winning a title, let alone 3. Thompson may not be a number one option, but there's great value in a player of his caliber not needing to be the number one option, who's content maybe to go 2, 3, or number 20. And also the knowledge that he's going to fire a ton of three-pointers, be called upon to guard the toughest scorers in the league without ever truly getting the credit he deserves. So, what happens? Business is business. The Warriors surely didn't like parting ways with Andre Iguodala, but they did. Every team has to guard against paying players, especially their own homegrown players, to which they're emotionally connected, more for what they've done in the past than what they project them to do over the life of the deal. When the Clippers gave Blake Griffin a 5-year, $173 million max extension in 2017, it was more for the player Griffin had been than the oft-injured, athletically compromised player he was about to become. By trading Griffin to Detroit, the Clippers were able to start building themselves into the frontline championship contender they are today. There are a lot of similarities, however, between Griffin and Thompson, relatively equal players in their primes, with injury concerns moving forward. When the Clippers lost Chris Paul to the Rockets, immediately showing Griffin the money was a signal that they weren't giving up on contending. It was emotional when they sat down and figured out the business. They got off that contract the minute they could. The Warriors are not looking to get off Thompson's deal in the same way the Clippers team had never made it past the second round, even with Paul. There was no reason to believe Griffin was going to lead them into some prolonged stretch of contention as a lone star. The Warriors have won 3 titles with Thompson. They have every right to believe he can help them win 1 or 2 more. But in the same dynamic, when Kevin Durant left Golden State immediately, re-upping Thompson was a signal that the band intended to play on. But imagine if the Warriors could, in theory, get their hands on Giannis or Embiid, would the nostalgia of the fading dynasty Clay help build outweigh the opportunity to build a brand new one? Interesting thought, don't you think? 35 minutes past the hour. Let's give you a little plug, folks. Thank you. Thank you. And tonight, our YouTube neighbors over at Rakita Law have got something good. That's right. Law Splaining the Interwebs returns with Nick Rakita and Drexel. That's right. You could say it's Drexplaining the Interweb. News and nonsense. And a whole lot more as part of Nick Rakita's broadcast tonight. It's Drexel. It's Nick. Maybe Lady Rackets will join in the party as well. Lost Playing the Interwebs with Nick Rakita and his good friend Drexel coming up tonight at midnight Eastern, 11 Central, only on the Rakita Law channel, only on YouTube. And that's going to be fun, don't you think? Yes, it will. I do believe it will, don't you? Yes, I do. All right. We're 11:36. Guess what? That's right. It's time for scores, shout-outs, headlines, and more. Hee-haw! Indeed. Hee-haw to you, too. But before we get some scores, let's get you a little powder puff from our friends at awfulannouncing.com. That's right. Let's give you some news from those folk. HBO announced that Hard Knocks 2020 will focus on 2 LA teams, the Rams and the Chargers. We'll talk about that a whole lot more. But here's a little something. Good friends at the Four Little Network of Venus. Well, one of the biggest stories in the sports world this past week has been the uproar and subsequent damage control over Mike Gundy's recent attire choice of a One American Network, a low-budget version of Fox News, t-shirt. Gundy had previously commented on his new affinity for the network in April, saying he found the network refreshing. In that, they just report the news. There's no commentary. There's no options on this. Well, while Gundy may have been obtuse to OAN's rep as a fringe right-wing conspiracy theory pushing outlet, his players were certainly aware of it, especially in light of how the network has treated the Black Lives Matter movement. Timothy Burke, one of those fine folks, says, it seems a lot of you don't quite understand why a major college football coach promoting OAN is a problem. OAN says Black Lives Matter is a farce. Ooh. Well, after multiple players vote network or One American News Network, either way. Gundy has attempted to quell their criticism with a pair of videos, both of which were panned as missing the mark. Last night, could Gundy remember the old proverb, the third time's the charm? Well, maybe it was. Third attempt of Gundy's explain his viewpoint and apologizing has surfaced, and the origin of that apology is quite interesting, or interesting if you prefer, either word. On Wednesday night's edition of Sports Center with a Scott, a Van, a Pelt, the clip was played explaining that Gundy gave another explanation and an apology for a yet to air and yet to be announced all access show that, guess what? That four-letter network of joy was filming with the Oklahoma State football team. Now, this is a bit more of a substantive apology from Gundy. Hi, how are you? When compared to the other two whiffs, making it more newsworthy. To this point, SportsCenter has frequently been airing the apology today. Wow. While we only see Gundy in the clips above, the SportsCenter host, who has teased the clips each time, has said that Chuba Hubbard, one of the players who voiced his displeasure with Gundy, has also been participating in the show. While the Oklahoma State series hasn't been announced by ESPN quite yet, our friends at Awful Announcing has been told that this series is meant to mirror Miles to Go, an ESPN Plus all-access program that followed the Kansas football team last season. Miles to Go was announced in mid-July last year before premiering in August and running the length of the season. Now, these types of series are part of ESPN's larger deal with the Big 12, which was recently expanded to ESPN Plus. It'll be interesting to see if ESPN does indeed wait until August to start airing episodes of the yet unnamed Oklahoma State series, given the amount of interest in the program at the moment and Gundy's strained relationships with his players. If the story does die down, then perhaps we'll see the series announced next month and begin to air in August, which we imagine was the intended plan. However, if more stories continue to come out of Oklahoma State in the coming days and weeks, you'd wonder if there may be a change of plans, especially if, for example, say, a slew of players decide to leave the program, or if Gundy or other members of the football staff were relieved of duty. Either way, ESPN's decision to film at Oklahoma State is already proving to be an inspired choice. Yeah, one of those two. But until then, this is somewhat of an odd situation for ESPN to be in, since they have inside access to potentially one of the more significant non-COVID stories of 2020 and are sitting on so much access and footage. However, on the flip side, the network can only squeeze out a few morsels here, there, and, well, until the show is both announced and airs. For ESPN, it's rather a fortuitous scenario, given the limited interest these college all-access programs have garnered, regardless of network, ESPN+, HBO, Showtime, just to name a few. The series airs on, with the Gundy situation becoming a very huge story this week, generating interest beyond just Oklahoma State or college football fans. You'd have to think ESPN is beginning to consider ways to increase both awareness and distribution for the show. Regardless of how that four-letter sports monolith handles the Oklahoma State situation, it's clear that between this series and Hard Canucks, network filming an all-access series with football teams have not yet particularly deterred by that there corona. Yes, that they're not a disease. That's all I got to say on that. Yeah. Anyway, glad to see you all with here. Glad to have you here. Well, those of you who have Dish Network and Sling, we got a little bad news for you. Even though the football season is yet to get started, well, perhaps the best time for a league network to go dark on cable or satellite is during their off season, because fans aren't missing any live games. Thus, NFL Network and its sister, NFL Red Zone, going dark on both Dish and Sling this Thursday night isn't exactly the most surprising or devastating thing in the world. The most devastating thing in the world is if Kim Kardashian were to announce she was going to be a nun. Especially given the numerous carriage disputes involving both Dish and NFL Network in recent years. NFL Network's website has a banner advertising that both it and Red Zone are no longer available on Dish or Sling. However, they are still available on things like Cox, AT&T, DirecTV, Fios by Verizon, Fubo TV, Mediacom, Optimum, Spectrum, and Xfinity. Now, this is going to be fun. The NFL also released a lengthy statement about the dispute. Here's the full thing, even though most of us are just talking about how great the NFL Network is. We'll sort of censor things, or at least cut out the bull, as it is. As of 9 p.m. Eastern, NFL Network and NFL Red Zone are no longer available to Dish and Sling subscribers, while NFL Media remains committed to negotiation a little agreement and has offered terms consistent with those in place with other distributors. Dish has not agreed. Now, without a distribution agreement in place for NFL Network and NFL Red Zone, Dish and Sling subscribers will miss out on daily shows like Good Morning Football, NFL Total Access, and NFL Now, and a newly launched Player's Choice series featuring classic games and long-form storytelling from the NFL film archives. Cannot get a Hail Sable from that. Hail Sable! Thank you. For the upcoming season, NFL Network remains the only place to watch all 65 preseason games, including a record 23 live out-of-market games. Regular season action on NFL Network continues with a slate of exclusive games kicking off with a trio of matchups at the start of the NFL season, in addition to 2 Saturday doubleheaders in weeks 15 and 16, but we can't tell you what teams they are. In addition to those games, Sunday coverage on NFL Network features the most comprehensive pregame show on television, the Emmy-nominated but never won a single shit NFL Game Day Morning. An icon of the sports programming landscape, NFL Red Zone takes fans from game to game to see the most exciting plays as they happen. With host Scott Hansen, fans could follow the best of live NFL action from across the country and every touchdown from every game every Sunday afternoon in the season. NFL content has never been more popular across the media landscape. Oi! According to the Nielsen Company, 180 million people turned into the 2019 NFL regular season with an average of 16.5 million watching per game. NFL games accounted for 47 of the 50 most watched TV shows. Yes, among all programming during the 2019 regular season. As the only network 100% dedicated to coverage of America's most popular sports league, NFL Network is committed to serving the millions of NFL fans by reaching fair distribution agreements with the pay TV industry. That's right. You heard me. NFL Network continues to be widely distributed across the United States, including distribution agreements with major cable, satellite, telco, and over the OTT providers throughout the country, including DirecTV, Comcast Xfinity, Charter Spectrum, Verizon Fios, Fubo TV, L2C USA Optimum, and Cox. No, that's COX, not that other kind. Thank you. Unsurprising, Dish points the finger directly at the NFL Network on their website. The NFL has chosen to remove their channels during these unprecedented times. NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, we appreciate your patience as we continue to work with the NFL. Our goal is to reach a fair agreement with the NFL bringing their channels back before the season begins so that you don't miss any live sports action. In the meantime, below is a free alternative viewing solution that may work for you. The NFL app. It's available to stream using a cellular network on phones. Now here's a brief list of Dish's sports-centric carriage disputes over the past year, many which focus on regional sports networks. For example, Dish dropped the Fox regional sports networks last July and still hasn't re-added them, even though they're now owned by Sinclair and Byron Allen. Colorado's regional sports network Altitude was dropped by Dish in September. Surprisingly, Dish dropped Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, and Big Ten Network in late September, leading to NFL Network pulling their Thursday Night Football simulcast, but a long-term deal was struck a week and a half later. And in the midst of the Fox dispute, NBC Sports Chicago was also dropped. Needless to say, NFL Network falling onto the chopping block isn't exactly a surprise, especially since there won't be live football on the network for maybe 2, 3, 4 months. As for NFL Network, it's been involved in a long-running, somewhat bitter-sounding carriage dispute with AT&T over the past year, which resulted in both the NFL Network and Red Zone being dropped from Uverse and what was then known as DirecTV Now. There you go. That's them arguing. Down, boys, down, heel. Cat just ran off. It's impossible to know whether or not Dish and NFL Network will come to an agreement before the start of the NFL season, and there are definitive reasons why a deal will or will not get done. Now, from the NFL's standing as a TV property, either word, to Dish's often contentious disputes with networks, to the potential issue that COVID-19 could cause to the NFL season itself, whatever ends up happening, if I were a Dish customer, I wouldn't panic. I mean, after all, it's still June, isn't it? But of course. Let's get some scores, shallst we? We shallst. Let's get some scores, people. Thank you, boys. Yes, we're getting to some scores. Let's go to the scoreboard. Tell you what's all been happening in the world of soccer, baseball, recent. You think maybe we should? Yes, I do. Boy, what you're missing. We're loading. Keep us loading, rawhide. We're on until 12:10, so we might go 12:15. But once again, I wonder who wanted to call during a live broadcast. Of course. We're live, so people start calling. Anyway, shall we begin this little madness, or was that phone call just sort of nature's way of saying, yes, growing up? Anyway, come on. There we go. Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay. We're going to try again. That's right. We're going to get you scores of soccer, basketball, a little basketball, a lot of good things here. Maybe some esports. Okay, let's 18th, which this is this really? No, this is the 18th. Okay, thank you. Spain's La Liga. Alaves over Real Sociedad 2-0. Real Madrid over Valencia 3-0. In Belarus, the Via League reserves Slava Mozir, the sequel, and Smolvishi, the sequel, otherwise known as Slava Mozir 2 and Smolvishir 2, tied at 1. Neiman 2, Slutsk 2, or sequels as we call them, 1-0, Neiman, the sequel. In Denmark Superliga, the regulation group, Lyngby and Silkeborg ended up in a goose egg tie. Odense and Sanderjisk came up with a 2-0 tie. Odense wins 2-0. Denmark Superliga Championship game. Oh, this one continues. Midtjylland and Brøndby and wound up goose eggs. Germany, the Bundesliga, came up. Holstein Kiel over SG Dynamo Dresden 2-0. Arminia Bielefeld over Darmstadt 1-0. In World Cup friendly action, Tiangang FC over Fishan Khan Ha 6-2. Slava Prague under 19 over Slovako under 19 3-1. Mapa and Grinstan tied at 1. Musa beat Yupa 2-0. Marinham over Aland 5-0. Rauhaus over Straumen 3-1. In basketball, Germany BBL playoffs, Alba Berlin over Göttingen 93-68. Oldenburg over Bamberg 86-81. In Spain, ACB final stage, Valencia over Morbanc Andorra 90-74. Real Madrid over Gran Canaria 91-73. San Paulo Bourgeois 92-86 winner over Basket Zaragoza. Now in Korean Korean baseball, the KBO in South Korea. Doosan Bears over Samsung Lions 7-3, 7-12-2 for the Bears, 3-6-2 for the Lions. LG Twins over the Hanwha Eagles 9-7, 9-11-1 for the Twins, 7-9-2 for the Eagles. Kia Tigers and the NC Dinos did not play. Their game was postponed. Kiwoom Heroes over the Lottie Giants 3-2, 3-5-1 for the Heroes, 2-10-1 for the Giants. KT Wiswang over the Wyverns of SK, 5-3, 5-13-0 for the Swan, 3-7-0 for the Wyverns. Taiwan CPBL first stage, the Uni Lions racked up the Rakuten Monkeys 10-5, 10-13-0 for the Lions, 5-11-2 for the Monkeys, and the CPBL minor leagues went like this. The Weishuan Dragons over the Fubon Guardians, the sequel, 8-6, 8-11-0 Dragons, 6-9-2 Guardians, the sequel. Do we have any esports to give to our thirsty bunch of good people? Any esports? Oh, we do have some esports available. Let's give it to you straight before we go to shout-outs and say au revoir to all. Let's go to some esports for tonight, and then we finish it off with a ruffle and a flourish, and then we take a great Friday and make it our very own. Okay, in Counter-Strike, Blast Premier Spring USA loser stage, Faria over Team Liquid 2-1. Counter-Strike Blast Premier Spring Europe winner stage, Complexity Gaming over Navi 2-1. Faze Clan over Team Vitality 2-0. Dota 2 Beyond Epic Europe. Alliance over Ninjas and Pajamas 2-0. Nigma over Viking.gg 2-1. Natus, Vincier, and OG were canceled. B8 over Team Unique 2-0. In Dota 2 BTS Pro Series Season 2 USA, Evil Geniuses and Thunder Predator tied at 1. Crazy 4 defeated the Minus Club 2-0. Plasma and the Minus Club ended up tied at 1. And live right now, +1, losing to Beast Coast 1-0. Dota 2 BTS Pro Series Season 2 Southeast Asian Loser Stage, Fnatic over Reality Rift 2-0. Neon Esports, over TNC Predator 2-1. In Dota 2 BTS Pro Series Season 2 Southeast Asian Winter Stage, Boom Esports 2, Neon Esports 0. League of Legends Champions Korea, South Korea Division, Team Dynamic over KT Rolster 2-0. APK Prince over Hanwha Life 2-1. League of Legends, the Pro League in China, victory 5 over Billy Gaming 2-1. Royal never gave up. They beat up JD Gaming 2-1. Let's do some shout outs and then we'll get the hell out of here and make way for Nick Rakita in his all-girl band of merry beings. And here we go. He'd be fast, we'd be slow. Let's go for the ladies first off. And of course, the awesomely cute Amy Hayes, along with their British counterpart, Miss Lingo of the past, the present, and the future. Of course, we're talking Stacey Hayes. We also say hello to Christina Peterson, Angela Peterson, Yuki Tanaka, Anne-Marie Mann, Jay the Brain Man, Matthew Nichols, Jerry Nichols, Nancy Nichols, Donna Payne, hi there, Heidi Ho, Bobby Langford, hi. Tess Broussard, me likey. Don't ever change, you're a funny woman. That's what we need in this world, more funny women. Kiki Melendez, Tika Bachman Tech. Yes. Do we have some other folks that might say hi to us? I'm hoping. Doing Courtney Elwood. How you doing, Michael Gaminsky? How's that for a lot of macros? Begin to fall apart. Aren't we? We say boom shakalaka. There you go. Mark all red. Boom. Okay. Trying to get some more. Stuart Wilkerson, Shelly and Rhiannon, how you doing? My Aunt Pat, how you doing? Connie and Roger Brown, how you doing? Jeremy and Tiffany Brown, how you doing? We also say a big how do you do to Kelly Collins. By the way, big announcement from Twitter. Not only can you tweet, but you can now, believe it or not, voice. That's right. Voice is coming to Twitter throughout the month of June. So congratulations and howdy ho. We say hello to Chad Nappy, Brad Berkwit, Brian McFeeters. We're also saying hello to hi, can we move that up just a bit because I know we're running deep into Shashu. Chris Lewis, Dale Sankey, Jeff Rollo, Danielle Wilcox Graves, Donna Payne, Deborah Hilliker, George Templeton, Marley Wiley, Jeff Rollo, Marley Wiley, Dale Sankey, George Templeton, Blind Lemon, Nellie K9, Mrs. Nellie K9, and Insapod. James Murphy, Jamie D, Jeremy Coates, Joe Ranta, Joseph Schwartz, my friend for life, Miss Randy West, Nick Mouse, happy birthday, sir. Phil Monahan, Rick Chiampa, Sarah Baxley LeGrand, Myra Baxley Duhan, Tess Broussard, Todd Clamfer, Vanessa, Elise Messenger. How's the new mommy? How are you, Vanessa? And Wesley Snell, how are you doing? We also say hi to Christine. I've already said hi to Christina Peterson and all the rest of the rest. Brenda Dixon, hello. Love you in blue, darling. Mr. Magic himself, the wrestler extraordinaire, Mr. Truth Martini. We also say and give greetable greetings to the lovely Miss Lucy Boom Boom Nolan and Beth McLeod. Ooh, yes. Also, Audrey Dahlgren, the wonderful wizard. Let's see, Audrey Dahlgren, Um, Alex Sims and Audrey Dahlgren, Alex Sims, Nick Mantis, all the gang over at WLNS TV 6 in Lansing. Donnelly Keith, Tom Ziska, Melissa Wilson, Dr. Jim, and all my good friends as well over at Fox 26. All my friends on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And all that. Thank you all very much for tuning in this evening. It has been a fun threshing around rapidly. We have once again went over the exact time, but we're having fun. We're trying to get things started up rolling here, trying to do things right, and we're doing okay. I hope you all enjoy the show. We're back tomorrow night, immediately following Last Call Cafe on Spreaker, which tapes at about 11:05, 11:10. We'll be on the air here at, I'm going to say, 11:50 p.m. So we hope you'll tune in and enjoy the warmth and the fun. Maybe we'll have news that baseball is finally back. Maybe we'll even actually drink this Corona live. I can't promise that. YouTube would have my head. But that's going to wrap it up for us. We will have more about baseball. Hopefully some good news that we don't have to worry about crowding Major League Baseball offices in New York City with fans going, throw Manfred out. Oh, before we go, I'm glad I got this chance. We forgot a little story that came into our laps. We want to welcome the newest general manager of the Detroit Pistons. Can we get that story? Baseball story. The Pistons obviously not in the playoffs. I guess you could say they never got a chance at anything. But we do have a little story we must give. There was some good news to report about the Pistons, and that is simply this. The Pistons have themselves a new head man in the home office over there at Little Caesars Arena, home of the Red Wings and the Pistons. Would you like to know who that gentleman is? I'm glad you do, because we got a lot to talk about on the man they needed. It is Troy Weaver, the first official general manager of the franchise since 2018. The Detroit Pistons ended their long search for general manager when the Pistons fired Jeff Bauer in 2018. Ed Stefanski assumed the responsibilities without the official title. Since then, Detroit, can you excuse me? Oh, somebody forgot we were on the air. Now they remember. Okay. Ed Stefanski assumed the responsibilities without the official title. Since then, Detroit was the only team in the league without a GM, despite Stefanski making sound decisions for a franchise since 2018, hiring Dwayne Casey as coach being one of them. The Pistons decided it was time to find someone to actually fill the position and help them through their rebuild. The search ended this morning, actually Thursday morning. Welcome to Friday, when the Pistons finalized a deal with Troy Weaver to become the franchise's 19th GM. Weaver will sign a 4-year deal with Detroit. This from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Prior to being hired by Detroit, Weaver was the VP of basketball ops with the Oklahoma City Thunder, became the 4th OKC executive under Sam Presti to get a general manager position with a different franchise. Weaver also became or also becomes just the 9th black general manager in the NBA and the 2nd hired in the past month, as the Bulls recently hired former 76ers executive Mark Eversley as their new GM. Weaver said in a statement, quote, "It's an honor for me to join a franchise with the history and tradition of the Detroit Pistons. I'm excited for the challenge of building this team into a consistent winner and assembling the pieces to compete at a very high level. We will get to work right away evaluating opportunities and installing systems that will make us all successful." We'll talk about Mr. Weaver more tomorrow night at 11:50. Right now, we're out of time, and that is going to wrap it up for us. I'm Steve the Backsman Backslede, saying no matter what sport you love, may your favorite team always be winners. And good night, America, wherever and whomever you may be. See you all tomorrow night. This has been a presentation of Mystifying Creativity Productions in association with the L2C Media Network and L2C Sports. And for everyone at L2C Sports, I am, as I said, Steve the Backsman Backsley. Back tomorrow night. Bye.